I'm Simon Johnson, professor at MIT Sloan. My book, White House Burning, is about how to escape our debt burdens. Well, some people have suggested that the right name for the generation being born today is Generation IOU. I think that's a little bit strong. To be clear, we've had debts before in the United States. We had big debts, for example, after World War II, debts that were incurred in fighting that war. And the key to getting out of this kind of debt burden is always growth. Now, you have to grow in a responsible way. You have to generate tax revenue from that growth. We cannot kid ourselves and our children that you can somehow have a continuation of the American economic and political miracle without people paying taxes. And this means people across the income spectrum, including people at the high end who've had an incredibly good ride in the past 10 or 12 years with regard to low taxes, and people in the middle and people at the low end who all do pay tax and will need to pay tax as we go forward. If we understand this, if we understand you can have a fair, equitable tax burden, you can run the tax system in a more efficient way, absolutely we can do some tax reform, generate revenue to support what you want the government to do. And yes, we do need to have a better, more open conversation about what the government does. That's a big part of what we try to push for in our book. If we can have that conversation, if we can agree on what we want government to do, we can absolutely finance that with a reasonable, sustainable level of taxation. We won't face anything like the kind of crisis they have in Europe right now, for example. And we can push forward or go back to a much more equitable, participatory economy like what we had after World War II.